on the big picture in the political realm, we need someone to do something about this. How much have we heard this the last 40 days plus down in Louisiana? And we're all sitting here now, and we're all saying, who's going to do something about this? Our president finally shows up, and I understand there was quite a show put on down there by BP. Suddenly there's just, you can't move. The workers are like ants down there. And it's like, well, wow, golly, I was misinformed. I thought no one was down here doing anything. Well, the day the president was there, everybody on the earth was down there working. BP made sure of it. BP's not going to take the responsibility. The other 40% in the companies that own those offshore drills that BP is partnering with, people in Japan and other countries, they're not taking responsibility. Our government has sat around and played tiddlywinks for the last going on a month and a half now. No one's doing anything there. Nobody knows what to do. Nobody is doing anything. So we're all sitting around going, when's somebody going to do something? Because we understand this is getting serious. I don't know if you understand how serious it's getting. Not just with the whole ecosystem and the fishing industry and the financial trickle-down effect into all of America. Never mind a really good excuse this time to take gas back up to $4 a gallon. At least they would have an excuse this time.
Right.
And we look at the political arena and we look at the jobs we work at where things aren't quite right, and we're saying someone needs to do something about this. And we go to our local churches and we find those, forget the 97 things that we love. There's these 3 things that I'm not happy with in my local church, and we're saying, who's going to do something about this? And people come to me all the time and say, Pastor Scott, have you not noticed blah, blah, blah? And I say, I sure have. I say, well, why aren't you doing something about it? It's like, why aren't you doing something about it? And so you've got to learn, if you come to me and say, I see a need, instantly I'm going to anoint you as the solution to the problem. If you come to me and say, here's what I see, I'm going to take out my sword and I'm going to get you down on your knees and I'm going to knight you. So now you are now officially the solution to the problem. Very seldom will you bring a problem to me that we don't already know about. But we can only do so much with who we've got. We're always looking for heroes at Cornerstone Family Church. The heroes are back there in the nursery today, by the way. They're giving their life to something greater than themselves. They can't even look at their situation and at least walk out and feel it's like, well, I taught this wonderful lesson to the kids today and I can see their little eyes glowing as they got it. And see, that becomes self-inspirational and self-satisfactory because we see that our gift produced something today, and now that's still pretty much about us. We have people served in those areas and cooking meals behind the scenes and then comforting the grieving and doing things all the time, something that's so much bigger than themselves and nobody ever knows about it. God's always looking for people like that. We go into our homes and our marriage is less than perfect and our household is less than perfect, and we're looking at each other going, when are you going to do something about this? Everywhere in life we're saying, who's going to do something about this? And God's looking for the heart of an Isaiah to say, here am I, send me. Don't know what was going on with Shamgar the day that he got out of bed. He was drinking his morning coffee, getting ready to go grab that team. His ox goad sitting in the corner. An ox goad is just a big stick that you punch the ox in the behind to get him to pull the plow. It's just a big stick. He's sitting there, he's drinking his coffee, he's steaming, he's sick of it. He's tired of life the way that it is. He looks over that ox goad and something happened in him. I can assure you his thoughts were not, I'm going to be a hero today. His thoughts were simply, somebody's got to do something about this. He went over and he got his stick, his ox goad. He left his house and he started marching right down Main Street where the Philistines had set up a roadblock. And it must have been a heck of a roadblock. Because I don't know how many were there, but that day with a stick, Shamgar killed 600 of them. Now that's a hero. Now my little girl, she loves sticks. I don't know what the thrill with sticks is. And then you get little Alex and BJ and just they get there and it's like they start gathering up sticks in my yard. It's filled with sticks. It's like, and Hannah goes, Daddy, look at this stick. It's like, I said, baby, I'm not impressed with that stick. I better not find that stick left in my freshly mowed lawn. Take it back to the woods. No, Daddy, this is my stick. I can tell you one thing. There wasn't anything special or magic about Shamgar's stick. Shamgar was no stronger that day than what he'd always been. The only thing that changed in that man was his attitude of heart. He said, somebody's got to do something. See, Shamgar decided to stop being a taker and become a giver. He decided to stop being a complainer and become someone who will do something about it. Not just someone who sees the problem, but become the solution to the problem. I want to remind you of something today, Cornerstone Family Church. This incredible nation of the United States of America exists because of that attitude of heart. People who said we should not be restricted religiously like this. And I'm telling you, there was all kinds of things going on, restrictions you can't imagine, all the way down to the translation of the Bible that was being forced on them. Because there was this new King James translation being forced on some of them. But they were used to the Puritan Bible. And they said this King James translation cannot be of God. Isn't it funny how some of you guys say that same thing about that King James translation, that the other ones can't be of God? You are aware of how many translations there's been, right, and still are? You all still aren't hung up on those little Mickey Mouse things, right, at Cornerstone. People who said this should not be. And there were a handful that would rise up and say, well, let's do something about it. And I love the great adventurers, the great explorers. Magellan's always been my favorite for some strange reason. You got your Ponce de Leon, of course, your Columbus, and all these guys that just, something in them. Said, we're getting in a boat, we're heading in that direction. And everyone said, but the world is flat, you'll fall off. And then, well, we're going to go till we fall off. Something that there's the potential of in all human beings that we can, if we can tap into it, if we can dig down there and find it, there's greatness. And I think the only obstacle that now stands in our way in America to return back to the type of people we were when we founded this country and established this country is finding that place in our heart again where we see causes greater than ourselves. I want to ask you a simple question today. What is it that you see in life that you would say it's worth dying for? What's worth dying for? Literally. Let's look at literally first. What's worth dying for? I can assure you if somebody harmed my child, and I mean truly harmed, or kidnapped my child, if they didn't bring her back within the first 3 or 4 hours, offering me a check to take her back, that was supposed to be funny. I assure you that going to the rescue of my child, that my personal harm would not enter into the equation. How many of you guys can relate to that with your children? That if your child needed a kidney, you wouldn't even say, well, let me go seek the face of God and see what the Lord says. You let God set that one out and you say, where do you want me? When do you want to start slicing and dicing? How many of you guys can relate to that? There are some things that we can relate to that we would say, yes, this is bigger than me. I would give my life for that in a second. I don't know how many people that enlist in the military today still have that attitude. There's many, many other incentives for being in the military. A lot of them, they'll find themselves in that opportunity to become heroes before they know it. What is it is worth giving your life for?